Let me walk you through the ideal putting practice setup. It all begins with creating your home base, and that home base will be centered around finding a straight putt and 2 breaking putts. I set them up from 8 feet, and when I'm setting them up from 8 feet, I'll use a combination of a level to help me find where that straight is located, just like so, and then some tool that's going to help me roll the ball straight to where I can actually sit back and observe it. So the perfect putter is ideal for this. Some people feel it's sufficient to use their hands or just rolling balls with a putter, but I like to be the observer standing behind it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There it is, my 8-foot mark. And I'm going to roll a few and make sure that I like how straight this thing is. Yeah, very, very much so. Okay, so this is going to be my first station. I will take my well stroke and I'm going to position it down just like so. Got a bag of paraphernalia here. I need some tees to pin this thing in the ground so it's not going to move once I've found it. Get a perspective from back. Just double check. Just like so. Just dotting I's and crossing T's. I like to roll another ball or 2 to make sure that it's still going to behave for me. Now, I sometimes use the tee gate up front as the kind of point of feedback for the accuracy that the ball is going to start, my start line control. Or more regularly, what I'll do is I'll use a secondary tool, a well vision in this case, sitting right up on top of my well stroke, that a little bit closer to where that ball's launching from, serves as my start line feedback. And then the benefit that this thing provides on this particular setup is that I then have a view as to my eye position relative to my golf ball and my start line feedback since I got the ball through those ball bearings. So that's station number 1. Then I do the same thing, but this time I adjust the tools that I'm using. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I love something half a cup to a full cup outside right edge. And so from 8 feet at the speed of green, I'm looking for something in the range of 1% of slope. There's 1% of slope. 1% there, 1.5 here. Yeah, so 1.5 has me about a cup out. Then I'll set perfect putter down, 1 cup out, and voila, we have it. Now, next step is I like to create the visual that a player would hopefully see standing into a putt, and if they can't see it, I'm going to provide, you like my mascot over there? I'm going to provide it for them, which says there's a corridor, like Ben Crenshaw's paintbrush used to visualize. Okay, so I know if a ball that rolls just to the right of that should go in, and a ball that rolls just to the right of that should go in. Now I'll take my pen, place a dot, and a dot. And now what I have is I have something to aim my next plate at. Tools. Tools are so important to your development as a player. Tools provide you the feedback that then helps you make any level of course correction in your practice that you may or may not need. Hopefully may not, if all things are going well. But they serve as checks and balances as well. Okay, so now I have my next station, and before we move on, I'm going to check it. So I've got 8 foot right to left at 1%. And I think what we found out is it's a little closer to 1.5 through the early part before it begins to flatten out. Uh-oh. That's the first tell. Right to left, or I try to pull it on line. Let's take 2 on that one. Marking the green is super important because your tools will invariably move. Now, sure, I could secure it down with tees, and ultimately I think that's a good thing to do. Oh, I did it again. Okay, so I like the setup, but I don't like the stroke that I'm making on that one. But that's not what this is about, at least just yet for me. What this is about is taking you through a tour level training setup. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side, from left to right at 1%. So I can leave the putter there, get my supplies, and now we are ready to roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's that first step? It's going to be to check the brake. There's 2. There we go. There's 1.5. And there's a 1/2. So somewhere in here, I think, right where that ball is sitting, or just to the right of where the ball is sitting. Yep, voila. A little faster. Nice. Okay, ball rolling to the left of that on the high side. With a person's tendency, most people's tendency is to always read putts on the low side. I like these buoys, these landmarks, these visuals to always be on that low side. Another side note here is almost every putt, 2/3 of the break is going to happen in that last third. And so if we are constructing our putts, I like to construct them from the hole backwards. So the player's picture standing over any putt, whether they're about to roll it, or even before that, when they're reading it, whether you read it from behind it, to the side of it, or standing over it, is always going to be associating and connecting to that last third of the putt, where 2/3 of the break will be. There we go. So now what can I do? I'm ready to mark. Little dot. Another little dot. And now I'm ready for my tools. Got the well vision plate. And we've got my shoulders, my shoulder line plate. Getting better at golf oftentimes is once you've got a foundation of what you're trying to achieve, dotting I's and crossing T's on a very regular basis. And I sometimes talk about mundanity versus complacency. Mundanity being every day looking the same and you leaning into that, such that you're trying to cancel out the day-to-day variability that exists in the way you practice something, what you're practicing. Otherwise, you let complacency seek in, and that complacency is expecting that without checking that each day you're going to show up and create the same setup, or use the same putting stroke, or use the same full swing. So the way that we avoid falling victim to complacency is by leaning in to a sea of sameness, that mundanity that comes as you set these practice stations up. I've got something that's misfiring in my stroke for sure here. I need a sense that that face is staying a whole lot more square into impact, so I'm not launching it on that left ball. I'm trying to pull both putts on line here. Because those are the things that we're trying to identify. The day-to-day variance that could impact your performance, both in practice as you're trying to perform, but far more importantly than that, once you take it to the golf course, right? So in all likelihood, my next step here after I've set these up is to go back to my home base station, and if I can't self-source a feeling that prevents that face from closing, like I did that time, that was nice, then what I'd be doing is I'd be filming it over there, and I'd be discovering where in that motion my club face or my path is sending that club face more closed. And so that first step in setting up is I've got a straight 8-footer, I've got my well stroke with my well vision on top of that. My well stroke provides me feedback to path and face during motion. My well vision provides me feedback to where my eyes position, my square face address, and also the precision that I'm delivering the club at impact. And then I'm going to pivot off that after maybe 10 or 15 reps. Through those 10 or 15 reps that I'd be hitting on my home base, my straight putt there, I'd be looking for performance results that are a high level of certainty that I'm getting it started on line. So I'm not touching those ball bearings on the well vision maybe more than once there. Before I move off to my braking stations, I don't mind whether I start or whether you start on the left to right or the right to left. Some people set these up with tees. I think it's far more effective to have the tools, to invest in the tools, because they create certainty in your setup over and over and over, and they provide far more benefits than I'm describing right here. So then what next? What I like to go to next is a task that requires transference into some level of performance. And so what that would be, it would be me working around the hole in some critical ranges. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 footers. I do an exercise called 4 through 9 darts, which essentially says I'm spreading 24 balls around the hole, spread from 4 through 9 foot, and a person needs to make 18 of those 24 to pass, or we can do a hybrid of that. So I would suggest once you've checked that your stroke is successful from straight, successful from braking, then you pivot into some sort of short range exercise. But then there's another task, isn't there? And that's that mid-range touch exercise that we're going to set something up for you right now. Every tool player that I've ever met has a kit of tools that they use, whether it's striking tools or greenside tools, or in this case putting tools. And you should start to collect the things that you're going to need for your putting practice. Okay, we're ready to roll. Here's the setup. The drill that I would start with is called cluster sets, where we're going to place a ghost hole down in the middle of a relatively large area of green. And I've got a downhill leg, and then I've got a very flat / uphill leg. I'm going to walk back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 feet. 1, 2, 3, another 10 feet. 1, 2, 3, another 10 feet. So I've got 15, 25, 35. If you have space, go back to 45. So you've got essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 legs going downhill, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 legs coming uphill. So we've set cluster sets up. I've got a stack of 3 balls at 15 feet. I'm going to putt them. Success at 15 feet is always getting the ball past my phantom cup, my ghost cup, but no further past than the ball marker that's 2 feet beyond. Once I can achieve 3 in a row from there, hopefully clustering them tight around this 1 foot margin, which we're going to call optimal speed. Then I move back to 25 feet. I'm going to do the same thing. So this ball marker only represents 1 foot short, and it's only a usable area once we get to 35 and 45. So we're not going to worry about this when we're putting from the first 2 stations. We worry about that once we get further back. So let me give it a shot here at 15 feet. Should be good. Nope, that's too far. That's softer. That should be good then. Yeah, nice. That's also good. Remember the objective, 3 in a row. Past front edge, no further past than 2 feet. And nice, now I can graduate. So there was 15 foot dialed in. And as you get good at this, you'll speed through it very, very quickly. Now we're at 25 feet. 3 successes and we get to move on. Should be good. sit, just. Should be good. Yes, sit. Oh, borderline. That one was hit a bit softer than the prior one. Get there. Yeah, they got some pace to them today. And that should be good. Nope, too fast. Okay, so evident in that practice becomes the need for me to sit on this a little longer, right? I only got one ball that satisfactorily, or that I satisfactorily control the touch on, and that's telling. It's telling that says that if I go to the golf course right now, there's not the preparedness that I would expect there to be. So if I'm the player or if I'm the coach, I'm asking the player sit on that and demonstrate a greater level of precision before they graduate to 35 and then beyond to 45, and we do the same thing going uphill. Play this 3-point game with 3 balls. Each ball represents a possible score of 3 points, so perfect is 9. We take one of those ball markers and we place it down. That's our start point, that's our control. Then you'll use whatever green reading method you fancy. For me, it's a combination of what I see and a little bit of what I feel through my feet. There's a 1.5. That's tipping to 2. And then what I'll do is I'll take 2 ball markers, and remembering that 2/3 of the putt's break is going to happen in the last third of the putt, I want these ball markers sitting in that last third of the putt, forming a gate. And that gate is the width of a club head, a putter head. And that defines the channel through which, or that paintbrush arc through which I'm going to roll my ball. And then I place another ball marker down 2 feet beyond the back edge of the hole. So it's kind of like I'm combining my task from 8 feet with my cluster set task that has that safety zone for speed control. And now I score the balls as follows. If I roll a ball through those gates, I score 1 point. If I roll it past the front edge but no further past than that back marker, I score another point. That's 2. And then if I've combined good start line control with good read and good speed, I should make the putt, and that would be a 3rd point. So a good score is no less than 2 points per ball, so I'm hopeful to score 6 here. Now clearly there's a break that exists between my gate and my golf ball, and if this is a 1.5 borderline 2, there's 2. Yep, there's my ball, so this should be pretty good. How many points did I score? Just 1. I actually like where my gate is positioned, but I don't love where I aimed that ball, so my start line needs to shift just based on my ball aim. So now I'm only about a ball outside that left marker. So I overplayed the break that happened early. That feels better. Should be good. It's too hard. It's too hard. And therein lies the lesson that a player that inside their own practice is not reading the feedback and not making those adjustments is a player that either delays their improvement or simply doesn't improve. My first one, I read the feedback and I made an adjustment in where I aimed the ball. I went from about 1.5 cups left of that left ball marker to about a ball left of that left ball marker. But then I misexecuted on the touch, which caused the ball to go through my gate, but being hit too hard, I still only scored 1 point. So now I'm gonna try and marry together the adjustment and where I'm aiming the ball with the adjustment in my touch and hopefully produce a make. There's the adjustment in the touch, a little over adjustment in touch. So somewhere between that ball that I just hit and that second ball is the solution that we're expecting as we're playing golf. And so I scored 2 that time, a total of 4. I failed, or didn't pass, probably a better way to say it. And I'm going to repeat this exercise from 15 to 25 feet until 3 consecutive times I can score 6 points or above. And that's how I would close out my putting practice, or at least this one variety or combination of exercises that aggregate to confirming there's a readiness because I can get my ball started online using my tools, confirming there's a readiness by practicing my touch, and then ultimately marrying all that together to produce made putts, and that tells me that I can be confident as I get to the golf course. So try all of this together, invest in tools, invest in your paraphernalia that helps you get better, and you're going to start to shoot lower scores.